Mark, where's my quorum that you promised me? Okay. Let's come to order, please. I was told I had a quorum. So, have everybody had an opportunity to look at the agenda? If so, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Second. Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Here none. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, agenda's approved. Next, we'll have committee reports. I know ACAT met, but I don't see James here.
I can give a report on the ACAT. Oh.
Thank you. ACAT committee met on Monday. We had a quorum and we voted to approve both of the items that were on the action item list, and that's about it.
Okay. Next, CAC, Christopher Middleton is there.
Citizens Advisory Committee endorsed all of the action items, and then they also held a public hearing for the participation plan.
Okay. TCC, Pam?
Okay. The TCC met on Thursday, August 1st, and we had a quorum. We went through an agenda very similar to today's, and all of the action items, including endorsement for adoption of the Mobility 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, the TIP amendments, and the updates to both the Title VI and the Participation Plan were approved. Thank you.
Okay. What about EdFac? You got anything for that? Okay. Mark?
Just wanted to welcome everybody to the MPO Board meeting this morning and thank the county for letting us use their facilities. The MPC hearing room has seen better days. It is slated for renovation in the near future, but I can tell you as of a couple of days ago, the air conditioning was out again, so we don't want to be there today. This is a milestone date for the MPO. In our planning process and our planning cycle, we are proposing to adopt the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Update, Mobility 2045, which will wrap up a 5-year planning cycle. We also have some TIP amendments that are designed to, create or additional pre-construction phases in 2020 for projects where work is ongoing at the end of last fiscal year. Waikato will present some updates to our participation plan, our Title VI plan, including the language assistance plan, environmental justice plan. Looking ahead, we will have at our October meetings presentations of the outcomes of our 2 interchange studies on the I-95 Airways Avenue interchange and on the I-95 Airways Avenue interchange study and the I-16 Little Neck Road interchange study. Coming up on August 14th, we will be hosting 2 open houses on the I-95 Airways Avenue interchange study. They'll be at the Pooler City Hall 100 US Highway 80 in Pooler in the community room. They'll be from 11:30 to 1:30 around lunchtime, and also from 3 to 5 p.m. We encourage anyone who's interested to attend those, and we have some flyers here that I'll leave on the ledge here if you want to check that out. One more announcement, our MPC Executive Director, Melanie Wilson, will be speaking at the upcoming Railvolution Transit and Community Development Conference in Vancouver in September on rebuilding for a fair and equitable future, rethinking planning and contracting. And those are all the announcements I have.
Anybody have any questions of Mark? Thank you.
Just want to remind everybody, please push the button if you want to use the microphone. Thank you.
Okay. With that, action items. Have everybody had a chance to review the minutes? If there are no changes or addition, I would entertain a motion at this time. We approve the minutes.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor of approving the minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Next is adoption of the Mobility 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Stephanie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so I just have a quick presentation. A little bit of review of what we've been doing for the last 2 years on this project. To remind everybody, we started about 2 years ago collecting socioeconomic data to feed into our travel demand model and forecast future conditions on our roadway network. We then developed visions and goals. We actually had brought those to the MPO Board back in October, and those were endorsed by all the committees and the board. We then did analysis and evaluation, primarily focusing, that work was done mostly with the TCC committee, and they really worked hard. They met several times outside their regular meeting schedule, and analyzed 6 different model runs, looking at future network and developing strategies to help alleviate traffic congestion that we'd be seeing in 2045. So with their work, we then, looking at the analysis and evaluation and doing the evaluation, developed a final list of strategies, which was the project list that we had you all look at and endorse back in June. So that was kind of where it brought us here today to the final and recommended plan looking for adoption. So since we last met, we had a public comment period. We had the initial comment period that our agency review period back in May, where GDOT and FHWA and FTA had an opportunity to review the document, and then we sent it out to public comment. And I just wanted to kind of wrap up our public comment period, because this has been going on all along throughout the 2-year time frame, but also we did have the official 30-day public comment period that went between mid-June and mid-July. We started off with an online survey with 645 responses. We collected 484 comments throughout the plan update process. That included the survey, open houses, emails. Anywhere we got comments, we documented those. And then we had about 81 speaking opportunities, which includes all of our public MPO meetings, as well as any additional meetings. We went out to folks. We went down to city council meetings at like Richmond Hill, the Garden City. We also approached some of the community neighborhood groups as well, and then we held some open houses in addition to that. Over the period of the plan development, the comments we've heard have been very consistent. A lot of concerns over bicycle and pedestrian issues, safety, transit, and paratransit. So those have been kind of the ones that have risen to the top. Other issues we've consistently heard about included parking pricing, flooding issue, more affordable choices. And you can see that in the slide, there's a few other different things that came up, like wanting light rail, things like that. Some projects, more specific comments that we received, I just wanted to pull those out and highlight those. We did get some comments that were specific to particular roadways or projects that are in the plan. So we had people bring up improvements needed for US 80 out to Tybee. I-16 widening and the I-16 interchanges received comments regarding concerns over increased noise and safety, and that was primarily coming from a neighborhood group out in that area, in the Southbridge area. We did get some concerns over lacking of specific non-motorized projects, and I directed those folks to take a look at the non-motorized plan and the policy language that we adopted as part of this, or that we're proposing to adopt as part of this plan adoption, is that rather than listing a bunch of non-motorized projects in the plan that don't have sponsorship yet, we identified the non-motorized. If a non-motorized project is in the non-motorized plan, it is then therefore compliant with the long-range plan. So we don't have to do a lot of amendments going back and forth, that they will already be considered compliant. And we'll be updating that non-motorized plan soon after we move forward with the long-range plan adoption. And then we also had folks talk about improvements needed on Durin. So I was pointed, most of these comments are a little bit more specific. I was able to point them to project managers, or these already have ongoing projects. Just wanted to summarize the plan real quick for everybody, okay, so we know what we're getting for the next 25 plus years. It's $1.8 billion in projects in the region. About $1.1 billion of that is highway-focused projects, 25% on widening. Interchanges was about 22%, and the new roadway was about 8% of the projects. Preservation, maintenance, operations take up about $553 million in the plan, which bridges, I included bridges in that section because most of those are replacements of and maintenance needs. There's about 9%, operational improvements about 9%, and then maintenance was around 12%. And then the non-motorized, or non-highway section includes transit and non-motorized, and about 14% of that is going to transit and 1% to non-motorized. Again, you've seen this map before. There's really been no changes to that. I just flashed that up there in case anyone had a question that they had lingering. And just a reminder that we do have the policy set-aside statements for projects that were not on that map. For maintenance, there's $232 million through the life of the plan. Non-motorized includes $12 million set aside. Operations has about $140 million in transit improvements. Includes two different pots of money. There's $18.2 million on a set aside, and then specific revenue that's FTA revenue would be $220 million. And then the focus would be on the list of projects below that CAT identified as their priority needs in their recent SPLOST draft list. So you each have a copy of what would be considered the final draft of the plan in your folder. Just really quick, wanted to go over, there's 7 sections in the document. Overview, which includes demographic information, changes since the last plan update. We're tried to update, last plan update focused on 2010 information. We try to update that with more current demographic information. Of course, we haven't had a new census since then, so it's going off ACS data. We then have a chapter describing the regional goals and performance measures and the emphasis on performance-based planning and programming. Chapter 3 talks about the regional transportation network, listing out all of the different types of transportation systems we have in our region. Chapter 4 is the public engagement section, project selection, and then is chapters 5. 6, we talked about the financial plan. That's where we really get down into the information about what anticipated revenues we're going to have in the next 25 plus years and the cost estimates for the projects. And that's kind of where like the real detail gets into that financially constrained project list. And then the final section is the impact analysis and mitigation, that we take a look at all the projects and make sure that we've done an environmental justice analysis, take a look at where there could be environmental concerns for a specific project. And we also have a lot of historical and cultural resources in our area, so we cross-reference the projects with those maps. The appendices, which we did not share because you would have a giant pack of paper in front of you, but we have available copies if you'd want to take a look. That includes all of our information about our performance-based planning process, contributing studies, financial plan, more detail, even more detail. The public outreach section, appendices D, has all the comments we've received and a response. So all 484 are verbatim in there. The technical analysis, and then finally, the vision project list. The vision project list are the projects that did not make the financially constrained list, but were projects that were elevated to a level of identifying need. I did just want to mention that there are 5 changes since you saw the project list at the last meeting. These are all kind of minor in nature, but if you really if there's something you notice the numbers look a little different, I just want to note those. Wycota is going to talk about them because they are related to our TIP amendments this month. But there were just some cost estimate changes, some money that was originally 2019 money is moving into 2020, and the plan starts in the year 2020. So we have to include those, those cost estimates and cost information. So that included the I-16 widening and interchange project. There was a small cost increase. The I-16 at 307 is got an additional construction dollars for that project, about $8 million. Brampton Road Connector had a change in the PE. Then the Bull River and Lazaretto Creek project, that one had, again, a small cost increase of $1 million in PE, and DeLessep's as well. So that was the last bit of information I had on the plan update. I did want to just say, assuming approval is, you adopt the plan today, my next steps would be to clean up any Scrivener's edits, copy editing, kind of, typos are always being found, things like that, and conforming the graphics so they kind of look a little bit more uniform. So the plan may change again in the next couple months in terms of its look. And then I will also be producing an executive summary of the plan. So if there's any questions at this time, we could, the next step would be going to the public hearing.
Well, we also advertise this as a public hearing,
Yes.
and so before we get too deep in comments, I think we need to see if there's anybody in the public who wishes to
Okay.
speak.
I think you have the,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll now open it up for public hearings. Anybody in the audience who wish to make any comments on the 2045 mobility transportation plan? If you wish, please state your name. If you're representing an organization, please state what organization you're representing.
Okay, my name is Bob Matajasic. I'm the president of the...
And you have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry?
You have 3 minutes.
Oh, thank you. President of the Steeple Run Neighborhood Association. We're at Southbridge, and we're right along Interstate 16. I have no idea what this organization does or what your function is, but we did make comments, and I heard the presenter talk about that. Our concern is when they widen Interstate 16 in that area, there is no plan for a sound barrier wall. We've been dealing with the people with Georgia DOT, and I don't know what's going to come of that. The entire Southbridge Homeowners Association, which is a much larger association, I should probably give you an idea. Southbridge Homeowners Association has about 1,500 homes and members. Our neighborhood is one neighborhood within there called Steeple Run. We have 50 homeowners. Because we're right up against Interstate 16, We know what the noise level is like now. We think that widening is only going to increase the noise level. I don't know if they've sufficiently studied the sound issues, but that's our concern, is that it's going to decrease property values if our noise level increases anything above what it is now. So that's our concern. I don't know what your, I'm just kind of new in this, and I'll end it right there. Thank you.
Thank you. Your comments are not pertinent to what we're discussing at the moment, which is approval of the adoption of the final Mobility 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. However, we do have representatives here from GDOT, and I don't know if there's anybody from GDOT who wish to address his concerns.
Were you all at the project public meeting? Yes. Okay, that's the place where, when you gave them comments, they do record them. And I don't think they're at the point yet where they really know what the design would include or not include. They probably didn't show you rollouts showing the line on the map, right? Yes. They're
Showing up every place where we might have some input.
Yeah, so the folks that you talk to, those are the kind of that's who's driving the bus on these, is the project manager in those public meetings. That is the great place to get. If you Google the words, and I tried it on my phone, GDOT I-16 widening, you probably find the website, and you can subscribe to get updates, and that's the place to put it all. Everything you guys, any comments are provided, don't just get lost. They go into a document, and when they do the environmental analysis, which typically includes an air noise analysis, that's standard. I don't know if they told you at the public meeting. That's a standard thing to look at. They go out and measure those and anticipate it. But again, so if you get the website, that is I have it bookmarked on my computer at work too. If I forget who's working on it, that's the people I talk to also. So I Googled the word GDOT I-16 widening, and it was the first link that popped up, and it's the project webpage. It's got all the materials from the public meetings you went to. It's got the contact information I think you can subscribe to, so they'll send you project updates, but that's the thing I bookmarked to go to also.
I assume you can do that for just about any project that's going on.
Probably, this one is one of those major mobility projects, one of those big ones in the state. A lot of them are in Atlanta. This is the one in this region. They call them, GDOT likes its acronyms, MMIP, Major Mobility Investment. But just those big projects like that have its own dedicated website. But if they're smaller ones, you can grab me or the folks from district anytime. Thanks.
Okay, any further comments on the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan? Hearing none, I will declare this public hearing closed. Stephanie, would you come back to see if there's any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Anybody have any member of the MPO have any questions for Stephanie concerning the plan?
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to thank you for the information. I am beginning to use this information on City Council and informing the public outside of us here on what the information that we're receiving from the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So I want to thank all of you, especially you, for the information. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Any unreadiness? Seeing or hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have the amendments to fiscal year 2018, 2021 Transportation Improvement Program, and Ms. Wang will be presenting.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We just adopted the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and the Transportation Improvement Program is the short-range programming document, and all of the TIP projects have to be consistent with the long-range transportation plan. And Stephanie has already informed you that we have some project changes, and those project changes have been incorporated into the 2045 plan. So the TIP amendments right now will be consistent with those. We actually received 4 amendment requests from GDOT and regarding 4 projects. So I will talk to each one of them over here. The first one is the State Route 307 at I-16, that interchange project. Currently, we have a cost estimate for the construction. We actually have construction phase programmed in fiscal year 2020 for about $20 million. The TIP amendment is to add a utility phase in fiscal year 2020. That's about $1.5 million. And then the construction phase has a cost increase of about $6 million. And that will be paid for with Z230 money and the interstate money. The Z230 money that we program, that amount doesn't change. So basically, the interstate money will increase by about $6 million. So the total cost right now is about $28 million. And the second project is the US 80 bridges replacement. That project, we have right-of-way phase in fiscal year 2020, which City of Tybee will pay for, but GDOT requested that we include additional preliminary engineering phase in fiscal year 2020, about $1 million, and it will be paid for with House Bill 170 funds, which is the state funds, and $1 million will be used for project oversight and preliminary design, preliminary engineering. And the third project would be the Brampton Road Connector. GDOT requested that we add a preliminary engineering phase in fiscal year 2020, and that phase will be paid for with House Bill 170 funds of about $1.165 million, and then the GPA will provide local funds about $500,000. So the total is about $1.6 million that will be used for preliminary design. And the last one is for the De Lesseps Avenue, which the City of Savannah is the project sponsor. So the proposed changes is to first add the preliminary engineering phase in 2020 for $25,000, and it's House Bill 170 funds, the state funds, and these funds will be used for GDOT project oversight. And then also GDOT adjusted the cost estimates for this project, the construction. Currently, we have, including utility and the construction, we have a $5.6 million. So the cost estimate have been added to $307,000. So those are the 4 project changes that I have outlined. We did advertise for a public hearing, and this is the last day, our 15-day public comment period. We did receive one comment, actually a series of comments regarding US 80 bridges replacement from the Coastal Georgia Greenway. And so basically they want us to include the bicycle and pedestrian connection to the McQueen's Island Trail and on that project and some other bicycle and pedestrian connections. So we have forwarded that information to both GDOT and Chatham County.
Okay. We will now open it up for public comments. Is there anybody in the audience wish to speak on the FY 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program? Hearing and seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Ms. Wang, would you come back to see if there's any additional comments or questions from members of the MPO? Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, our only comment is we're very appreciative in Garden City of the financial investment that's being made in the infrastructure between Brampton Road Connector, obviously, and the diverging diamond interchange at 307. Going to greatly help what is a ever-increasing traffic truck traffic in particular need. And these projects certainly are going to go a long way towards alleviating some of our ongoing concerns. So thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Shabazz has.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, my comments are to you on your work in reference in getting this form into a draft form that we can further move forward on it. Thank you for your hard work and the details of it. I haven't made these comments before, but I didn't want this day to go by without telling all of you how appreciative I am and we are of your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? We do need to, we need to approve this, is that?
Did we close the public hearing?
Yeah, we've closed the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Any readiness? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is approved. Next, we're going to have the updates to participation plan and Title VI planning. Ms. Wang?
Yes, I just want to mention that we will make two different motions. One is to adopt the revised participation plan. The second one is to adopt the revised Title VI plan. The participation plan actually it just defines how the MPO provide the public with the public participation process in our transportation planning process. And so it defines the goals and objectives, and then it also has the participation process, and it also has the measures of effectiveness and how to gauge the public involvement. This update, we actually don't have any major changes to the participation process. For example, for the 2045 long-range transportation plan, we have a 30-day public comment period. For the TIP amendment, we have 15-day. For the participation plan, Title VI plan update, we have 45-day public comment period. So no change has been made to that. The changes are, in 2016 update, we adopted quantitative measures of effectiveness. Previously, we have a qualitative, so now we have a quantitative measures effectiveness, and we did indicate in the participation plan that we need to evaluate the results of the MOE at least every 2 years. So since we adopted the plan, participation plan in 2016, 3 years have passed, so we need to measure the quantitative engagement process. So basically, just like how many public meetings we held for the past 3 years, what is the attendance of each meeting, and what is the ratio breakdown of each meeting, and how many amendments we have made, and how many development and we have made, how many comments we have received. So basically just document all of that in the measures of effectiveness. Also, Stephanie talked to you about the surveys, how many number of surveys responses we received, and number of comments received for the 2045 long-range transportation plan. Because normally we update the participation plan in coordination with the long-range plan development. So we need to document the public involvement process for the 2045 MTP participation. And so we have like public meetings, public hearings, and talking to the neighborhoods. So we need to document how many meetings we held, how many comments we received, and what kind of comments we received. So that will be included in the updated participation plan. And the last one is the Title VI related goals and objectives. While we were updating the participation plan and the Title VI plan, we did receive from GDOT some additional Title VI goals and objectives. We already have about 6 Title VI related goals and objectives in the participation plan, but we added like additional 4 or 5. And also there are some other minor administrative updates because, for example, the public involvement, we have to send our documents to the public comment, public review agencies, including the libraries, like Thunderbolt Library has been closed, so we have to delete that location in the participation plan. So those are minor administrative changes. So basically, Just to summarize, we don't have major process change, just to incorporate measures, quantitative measures, effectiveness, and participation summary for 2045, and additional Title VI related goals and objectives. And for any participation plan update, we need a 45-day public comment period, which started on June 27th and ended at the end of last month. We didn't receive any written comments, but we did, at the ACAT meeting, we did receive some comments that we need to spell out the blind, visually impaired, and the hard of hearing, right? Yeah, deaf or hard of hearing. So we will add that to the goals and objectives, and then also making sure that when we advertise for any public comment period for the major plans and studies, we need to advertise to like Georgia Public Radio, and so that like visually impaired and hard of hearing people can have access to. So Citizens Advisory Committee is overseeing the participation plan development update. So we had a public hearing on August 1st at the CEC meeting, but no comments have been received. And we advertised for public hearing for this meeting as well. So we can open the public hearing, and then we will ask the board to adopt the participation plan.
Okay. At this time, I'll open the floor for public hearing on the Title VI updates. Is there anyone in the audience wish to make any comments? Hearing or seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. So Ryan, would you come back to the well to see if there's any questions or comments from any members of the MPO? Hearing none, you must have done a thorough job. You got them all convinced. Thank you.
Thank you. I will continue with Title VI plan update. The Title VI plan is developed according to the Title VI of Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other non-discrimination statutes, executive orders, and regulations. The Title VI plan focuses on non-discrimination. So based on race, color, national origin, income, and other protected categories. So our Title VI plan update. First of all, we received a template from Georgia Department of Transportation Intermodal Office. They developed a template for the Georgia's Title VI plan. We already have a Title VI plan, so that includes the non-discrimination clause and forms, a lot of things. So we were trying to fit that all of information, transfer that information into the Georgia Title VI plan template. And I would, in the next slide, I will show you what the plan will include. And as a part of the Title VI plan, we will address the environmental justice plan. We have an environmental justice plan. Environmental justice targets low income and minority population. So we want to make sure that no disproportionate impacts will be imposed on the EJ population, and also make sure that EJ population share the same proportionate benefits, and make sure the EJ population involved in the transportation planning process. That's what outlined in the EJ plan. And also included in the Title VI plan is language assistance plan that addresses the people who don't speak English or who don't speak English well. So in our area, the threshold is either 1,000 people who meet those either or of those criteria, or at least 5% of the population. In our area, Hispanic speaking population meet that criteria. So we have more than not more than 5%, but more than 1,000 people who don't speak English or speak English well. So we need to evaluate how those people will contact our program, will be involved, and what kind of language assistance we will have to provide. For example, we just adopted 2045 long-range transportation plan. So when we develop the executive summary, we actually have to translate all that information into Spanish. And then also, if we receive complaints, and we have a complaint procedure, complaint form, all of that information will be translated into Spanish as well. Thanks for Jackie, actually, thanks Garden City. They helped us do the translation for the complaint form and complaint procedure. So this is what's included in the Title VI plan. So we have a Title VI non-discrimination policy statement and a management commitment to Title VI plan. This Title VI non-discrimination policy statement is very important, and I will focus it on the next slide. Because when we adopt this Title VI non-discrimination policy statement, we have to include this statement in all of our plans, including 2045 plan, including transportation improvement program, including the participation plan, unified planning work program, all the special studies, and then all of the legal notices that we send out. And also, the second chapter is introduction and description of services, so what the MPO does, the Title VI notice to the public, and the Title VI procedures and compliance, and then Title VI investigations, complaints, and lawsuits, and the public participation plan. As I mentioned in the participation plan section, we actually have Title VI related goals and objectives because participation plan is more inclusive. We want to include everybody, every segment of the population in the transportation planning process. But the Title VI only focuses on minority, low income, and national origin, so all the categories. And language assistance plan is chapter 7. And then number 8, transportation planning and advisory bodies. So we have MPO Board and 4 advisory committees. And we also have, because one of the requirements is that we have to do the racial breakdown for each committee. So as of now, we want to show that. And then the Title VI equity analysis, this is more related to transit services, but for the MPO, our environmental justice plan should satisfy the requirements because for the Title VI plan that we have to do we have to estimate the impacts of the 2045 plan, how that impact the total population, how that impact the EJ area, how that impact the EJ population. So that is documented in the environmental justice plan, and that satisfies the Title VI equity analysis over here. And then system-wide service standards and service policies. This is number 10. And now I'm just going to talk about for the Title VI plan as a part of has the same public involvement process with the participation plan, that the 45 days. So we actually advertise the 45-day public comment period at the same time as the participation plan. We didn't receive any written comments, but Advisory Committee on Accessible Transportation, ACAT, is overseeing the Title VI plan update. So we actually held a public hearing at ACAT this Monday, and ACAT revised the Title VI non-discrimination statement, which we have to include in every document we have. And also, I just mentioned that we added some language regarding the deaf or hard of hearing and blind or visually impaired population, at ACAT suggestion. And then I'm going to talk about this Title VI non-discrimination statement. So as you can see, I have some, the red text, those would be the words that have been deleted per ACAT suggestion. And then the green ones are the ones that we added. So we actually get some comments from Pam from the MPC, because she was a lawyer. She actually added the other protected category. So I will just go through all these categories. So basically, MPC and MPO are committed to principles of affirmative action and prohibit discrimination against otherwise qualified persons on the basis of race, color, national origin. Race, color, national origin is Title VI requirement. Specify these three. Religion, age, disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, marital status, familial status, parental status, political beliefs, genetic information. ACAT suggests that we can delete this reprisal or because all part of individual's income is derived from any public assistance. The staff suggests that we substitute that with income because EJ focuses on low income and the minority, so we want to add income. And then our assistant exec director said that we need to be more inclusive, so we add or other protected category in its recruitment, employment, facility, and program accessibility services. So if you have any questions on this, and this is just a staff suggestion and ACAT suggestion. So with that, I will ask for the board to open the public hearing, and then we can have a discussion, and then we can adopt the Title VI plan, including the non-discrimination statement.
Okay. We'll now open it up for public comments. If there anyone in the audience wish to make any comments. Hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there any further question of Ms. Wang? If there not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. So moved. Properly moved and second. All in favor of the adoption indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any other business? If not, we'll go into status reports, and we have with us our Federal Highway person, Mr. Andrew Edwards, who hadn't been with us in person
for probably over a
meetings.
year, and I apologize about that, but thank you for the introduction, Chairman Scott, and I just want to let you know I appreciate all the great things that you're doing here at the core MPO. That's pretty obvious, building upon what Dr. Chavez said. You got great staff that are putting together a lot of fantastic planning products, and I really appreciate that, and my bosses really appreciate that too. But I can't get here as often as I'd like, but I do keep track of everything that's going on, and all the MPO materials sent out, I review those, and Tom and I are in constant contact, and your staff knows I'm always available if they ever need anything. But great MPO staff, and again, I want to echo what was said previously, but really I'm here to talk about somebody specifically that in my professional judgment's kind of the keystone here. We got that keystone as part of the arch, and if it's not there, things kind of tend to crumble. From the development of the congestion management process several years ago, where the MPO was under a tight timeline from us to get that done, and it was done in time, I want to say March 2016, to the development of this long-range plan, which was quite a big lift for MPO staff and this individual as a whole. But in addition to that, the Federal Highway Administration had put on a data workshop and symposium this past June. And while all this stuff was going on in these work efforts, this individual took time out of that to put together a great presentation for all the MPOs in the state. GDOT staff were in attendance. I think there were a total of about 45 people, Georgia-wide. It was one of the first in the nation. They put together a great presentation of data products that are available for use at the MPO, and really, outstanding effort. And with that, if you would let me, I got a letter here from the Georgia Division Administrator, my boss, to the Executive Director, Ms. Wilson. The purpose of this letter is to formally commend Stephanie Rossi for exceptional performance and dedication to service while assisting the delivery of the 2019 Data Workshop and Symposium in Atlanta on June 18, 2019. This was scheduled as part of Federal Highway Georgia Division's ongoing efforts to advance data analysis and understanding through training, technical assistance, and partnership. The 2019 DWNS goal was to focus stakeholders on their utilization of the National Performance Management Research Data Set, as well as understand the various data resources available at the federal, state, and local levels. This will advance all planning elements, for example, metropolitan transportation plans, updates, and congestion management process development in our metropolitan planning organization areas. Further, the event aided MPO staff and MPO areas and GDOT planners to better understand what resources are available to aid them in numerous aspects of project development, including truck counts and roadway classification information. Stephanie specifically assisted with the MPO planning product development CMP element. She tailored her portion of the event based on input from my office to emphasize the available data resources and usage during the development of the Savannah MPO CMP and an associated report card summary. She developed one-of-a-kind materials which clearly laid out how this type of analysis has assisted the Savannah region to better focus resources and further stakeholder outreach and understanding of complex traffic congestion issues. I would like to laud the professionalism and commitment to excellence exhibited by Stephanie. Her outstanding abilities are clearly an asset to the Savannah MPO and citizens of Georgia. And that's from my division administrator, Moises Marrero, and I have a copy for you, Chairman Scott, and copy for you, Mark, and for Melanie when she has it. But thanks again for the time here and all your great efforts here at the MPO and the great job that Stephanie's done.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards, we appreciate you. Appreciate you being here and appreciate you bearing good news. But before you left the floor before, I had an opportunity to see if anybody from the MPO had any questions for the Federal Highway Administration.
Okay. As an aside while I'm here.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions about anything that's gone on at the federal level? Now is an opportunity to put
We are coming up
Andrew
on
on the hot seat.
on the last year of the transportation bill. So starting October 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2020. So it'll be an interesting time with the election year and, based on the historic trends, there'll probably be a bill maybe 2 or 3 years after that, but we keep funding going and
Okay. No questions? Okay. Thank you again.
thanks, Chairman Scott.
Next, we'll have some informational reports, and these will be given verbal. And let's start with GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation.
Morning.
Yeah.
I'll go over some of the high points of the GDOT handout, some of these projects. First one's Ogeechee Road widening. Right-of-way acquisition, final designs ongoing. F&M Parkway, right acquisition and final design is ongoing. The Bull River and Lazaretto Creek bridges, POH was held back in the spring. Environmental studies and preliminary design ongoing. We're aiming to request a preliminary field plan review this fall. Brampton Road Connector, right-of-way acquisition and final designs ongoing. The two I-16 projects, interchange and widening. Environmental work, final designs ongoing. We anticipate construction beginning late this fall. The two bridges on State Route 25 in Port Wentworth. Environmental work and preliminary designs ongoing. On the active side, West Bay Street widening. Stage 3 construction's ongoing. Contractors working on phase 2 of the curb and gutter, GAB and paving. Two Jimmy Deloach projects. Stage 1 construction's ongoing. They began work on the railroad bridge and they're placing embankment material. Islands Expressway Bridge. Contractors setting the bridge beams and working on the MSE walls. Project 6 and 7. These two are pretty much complete. We're preparing for final inspection now. Resurfacing on 80. Project 8, contractor proposes a start late this summer. The State Route 25, resurfacing in Garden City, paving's done. We're preparing for final inspection. State Route 21, resurfacing, work's ongoing. Contractor hopes to be done hopefully by the end of this month. Weather's kind of got them in the evenings. Most of this has been night work, so it may be September before they get wrapped up. And 25 at Pot Makers Canal Bridge replacement. Detour began last month, and utilities are being relocated. And 144 ramps in Bryan County, NTP's been given, pre-con's held, so contractors should start out there probably late this summer. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Just for clarification, construction on 16 widening is late this year?
Yes, sir.
We'll actually see some barricades and
So-
barrels and equipment and what have you. Okay, so that's when the
They anticipate starting at the interchange first.
95
Correct, 95 at 16 interchange first. And
start
then-
working eastbound, obviously. Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
No further questions or comments?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. What about Chatham County?
Thank you, Chairman. Pre-construction projects, obviously, we're very excited about the additional funding that the DOT came up with, so we can proceed with the I-16 at State Route 307 project. So I guess that's going to be let by GDOT as design build in October, so that'll be great. Quaco Road, the intersection project has been let, so that one should be starting fairly soon. The widening project, right-of-way acquisition has started on that one. State Route 21 at Pipe Makers Canal, we're still we're working with GDOT so that maybe they can look after that one for us or assist us with inspection, but that one should be let later this year. Let's see, other than that, the resurfacing on Veterans Parkway should be getting started soon as well. Projects under construction. Let's see, the roundabout at LaRoche and Jasmine is in operation now, so that one's nearly complete. Benton Boulevard is well underway, and the Johnny Mercer corridor improvements should be getting started in the next month or so. And other than that, does anybody have any questions about any projects that we have listed? Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Is anyone here to talk about the Savannah project list? Okay. What about Garden City?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had the opportunity to go to the Georgia DOT Board meeting on July 18th, listen in on the events of the day, but also then an opportunity to speak with Chairperson Ann Purcell and DOT Commissioner McMurray after the meeting about several different projects, both short-term and long-term in Garden City, and had a very favorable response in terms of some of our future needs. So we're grateful to DOT for their continued support of Garden City and its project needs.
Okay. What about Effingham County? Is anybody here from Effingham?
Hi, Teresa Concanon. I'm here for Effingham. I'm not really prepared to speak on any project list. We just started a new county manager. I'll be meeting with him this afternoon, and I assume going forward, either he or I or the chairman would be coming to these meetings and participating more fully.
Okay. Thank you. And Richmond Hill. Tybee Allen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's all quiet on Tybee. I'm joking. We've had some eventful summers, but it's been a good summer. The Highway 80 project got wrapped up, the paving. We had some extraordinarily high tides this past week, and there was some water inundation onto the road, but the road was never closed down, where I pretty sure in the past tides at that level would have caused the road to be closed. So the raising of the road seemed to be doing what it was supposed to be doing in decreasing the frequency of the closure of the road. Although the public on the social media don't agree, they thought it was to eliminate flooding at all times. I don't have the power to do that, but neither does GDOT. But so it seems to be effective. I did see some surveyors out there today. I don't know if they had to deal with that or not. So that's it.
Let's see if there's anyone here from Pooler. Or Port Wentworth. Didn't see anybody now from Bloomingdale, Thunderbolt, Chatham Area Transit Authority.
Good morning. I'll give you a summary progress report on the 4 major capital projects we have ongoing. These projects are either in the preliminary or initial stages. We are partnering with Georgia Power to start the electric infrastructure piece of our electric bus conversion. We also have 6 electric buses on order. They should be here next spring to next summer. We are working on replacing our intelligent transit system, which will give us a more robust CAD AVL system and also the ability to use a more user-friendly app. We are also working with the SAMI Trade Center and Weston to develop a Weston ferry dock and maintenance facility, and that will include an extra triangle of service. All of these projects are grant funded from either the state or federal level with local match from SPLOST, the city, and our other partners. Take any questions?
Any questions of Chatham Area Transit?
Mr. Chairman, where are you in the hiring process for the paratransit manager? And do you know when you're going to be hiring?
We are currently recruiting for that position and are interviewing qualified candidates. Brown, do you have a further update or?
Said was right. What Terry said was we're currently in the recruiting process, and we want to make sure we get the right person, obviously, in that position. So we're going to take our time and cast a wide net to make sure we get the right person.
And what about staffing for your drivers? I know you're living low on
We
transit drivers.
we currently have a class of 9 that is in the 5th week, so they should graduate and hit the streets within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And that's going to put us a little bit over, right? I mean, we're not as low on the paratransit staffing
That's
as
correct.
before.
That would put us a little bit over, to give us an opportunity to have a extra board, extra operators when, in the event of call-offs and other issues.
Any further questions of Chatham Area Transit Authority? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone here from the Georgia Ports Authority? Savannah Airport Commission.
Good morning, my name is. Good morning, my name is Jessica Smith. I'm here on behalf of the Savannah Airport Commission. Currently, we have a jumbo GA-FIS facility project underway. We are roughly about 90% complete. We're going through punch list items right now, and Customs and Border Patrol should be coming in to set up shop end of the month or early September. So look forward to a ribbon cutting ceremony and an international terminal. Additionally, we have a terminal apron expansion project that's about 90% complete, should be completed by the end of the month, which expands our capacity to keep airplanes overnight on premises, which helps with diversions from Atlanta and surrounding airports. Thank you.
Any questions of Savannah Airport Commission? Thank you. Hinesville, is that?
Hey, good morning, committee. Just to give you a couple updates from the Hinesville area MPO, we are also working through our MTP update, and I'd just like to take a moment and congratulate you all for approving your new MTP, and I know that's a great relief on your staff, so kudos to them. Where we're at right now, we have completed our first stakeholders committee meeting in April. We anticipate having our next stakeholders meeting in November and would encourage the MPO, the core MPO, to participate in that. Your staff will receive an email reaching out for that. So we encourage and welcome you all to participate. As far as where we're at moving forward, we'll be continuing to develop our 2045 future year SE data. We'll be continuing our public involvement and completing our existing conditions for our plan. And this fall, we'll be working to establish our goals, objectives, and our performance measures for the plan. So we are probably a little more than a year out from our adoption of that plan. Other than that, we're working to close out our FY19 state planning, highway planning, and transit grants. So that's really all we've got for you today. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions at the Hinesville area MPO? Thank you. Appreciate you being here. I didn't see Jenny from Low Country. See anybody from the Low Country area MPO? No. And last not least, Vernonburg. I didn't see anyone here from Vernonburg. Okay. Is there any other public comments? Okay, hearing none. The next core MPO board meeting will be Wednesday, October the 30th, 2019 at 10 a.m., location to be determined. We will keep you posted whether or not it will be over here or back in the Metropolitan Planning meeting room. Is there any other non-agenda item or information for reference? Anybody have anything that they need to bring to our attention? Okay. And then the Chatham District 5 MPO project status update from GDOT. Do you have anything further on that? Tom, you have anything? Okay. And staff, do you have anything further? Okay. Again, Andrew Edwards, we appreciate you being here and with the Federal Highway Administration, and we always look forward to your participation, and unless somebody else have something for the good of the order, we stand adjourned.